In this tutorial, we're going to be looking at quality control, specifically within the food industry. We're going to be looking at ways that we can ensure good products and good service within the catering industry. Let's start by looking at these two images. Both show a burger, but of varying quality. Clearly, the burger on the left, it looks much superior in quality. It looks like a lot more care has been taken just constructing the burger. And to me, it looks much more appetising than the one on the right that looks a little bit sloppy and messy. Now imagine you're a customer in a restaurant and you had been given the burger on the right, the messier burger, and then your friend or parent next to you received their burger and it looked like the one on the left. Would you feel satisfied that you'd received the same service as your friend? Would you be happy in paying the same amount for your burger as somebody else did for the better quality burger? Now, generally speaking, if somebody receives a poor service in a business, in a catering industry, they don't always complain about it. What is more likely to happen is that they just don't return to that place, which means as a business person, if you're not producing good quality products, you are losing potential customers from coming back to your service and purchasing from you again. So it's important that you know how to ensure that you have got a good quality product. And there are some ways that we can do that. There are a range of different tests we can conduct to check the quality of a product. Now you can start by checking the quality of the ingredients that you use before you even start making that product. So for example, if it was a beef burger in this instance, you might want to check the quality of the meat by making sure it's in date, that it's been stored correctly, that it's using a better quality of cut of meat. You might want to check the quality of the bun. Is it nice fluffy bread? Is it in date? Has it started to go a little bit stale, for example? These are quality control checks that we can do by using our eyes, by checking the dates, by using our senses, by feeling our ingredients, for example. Once you've done that, you may want to complete some other tests on the product once it's actually been made. So if you've cooked the burger, one of the things that you should do if you're working in a professional kitchen is to check the temperatures and make sure that they have been cooked to the right temperature. You can complete taste tests of your products, although this is probably something that needs to be done at the recipe development stage. I don't think your customers would appreciate it if you try their burger before you send it out to them in the restaurant. You can also complete focus groups. Within the food industry, we might also need to think about the packaging, especially from food that needs to be taken away. So you might need to check the quality and the efficiency of the packaging. And what I mean by that is if you have used cheap packaging, is it going to withstand travelling to a person's address? And by efficiency, if the food needs to be kept warm, is the packaging being used the most effective type for that? Or is food arriving at the customers in a cold state? Now, obviously, your sense of taste could be different to other people's, and more specifically, your target market. So by completing a focus group, you're able to ascertain what your target market would like or maybe dislike. So a focus group is where you will get a group of people together and ask for their feedback on your product. So you could, instead of doing the taste testing just yourself, ask other people to do that for you. Obviously, again, issues like this, where food might be arriving to the customer's house cold, is going to have an impact on whether or not they order from you again. So this would have a knock-on effect as to the success of your business. One way that a business might ensure the quality of their product or the service being provided by their employees is to employ the services of a secret shopper. Now, this is where somebody is employed in effect to go undercover and to use a product or service and then give a non-biased summary of that service back to the business. This enables the business to then evaluate and analyse that information and decide whether or not they need to take any steps to improve the service or improve the product. Now, the idea behind a secret shopper is that as the person serving or the person selling the product isn't aware that they are a secret shopper, they're going to be given a very honest account of how that service would usually be received by a customer. If, for example, you're working for a business and they want to have a feel for how you're going to sell their product and they approached you, there is a good chance that you might work beyond your normal capacity to try and impress your employer. So by employing a secret shopper, it gives a really honest account of how that service is actually running. Now, within the catering industry, waiting staff are really important for ensuring a good service is received by customers. They're effectively the front of house. They're the people that are dealing with the customers. And so if your waiting staff aren't working effectively, it could have a really dire knock-on effect on your custom. Your customers may choose to not pay entirely for their meal, for example, if they've not been satisfied with the service, or they may just choose not to return again and you have lost repeat business. Now, there are two main issues in relation to waiting staff. So if you were a business employing waiting staff, some of the things you'd need to ensure is that your staff are clean and tidy, especially when you're handling food. Just imagine being a customer and being served by a waiter or waitress and they had dirt under their fingernails and they just looked a little bit untidy and unkempt. Would that appeal to you if you're about to start eating food that they've handled? So clean and tidy is really, really important when working as waiting staff or when employing waiting staff. Now, alongside this, it's really important that waiting staff know to be polite, courteous and attentive. They need to ensure that the customers have everything they need, that they're happy with their meal, and of course they need to be polite and courteous. If they're rude to their customers, again, the customers are going to likely to be issuing a complaint or refusing to pay for all of their meal or just refusing to return again, which again is going to result in lost business and lost profit for you. Working in catering and dealing with customers, especially when they're making complaints, can be a really tricky business, but there are some key points and tips for how to handle a complaint from a customer. The first one is to listen to the complaint, attempt to resolve the problem, apologise, perhaps give a goodwill gesture, and then make a record of the complaint in order that we can take steps to prevent it from happening again. A goodwill gesture can be a number of different things. If a customer has complained about a particular element of their food, for example, it didn't come out at the right temperature or there was a contaminant in it, then you might offer to reduce the bill by taking that particular element off of the bill and offering it for free. You could, as a way of an apology, offer a supplementary item for free, for example, a free dessert or a free drink to say sorry. You may offer a voucher for a return visit. However, all of these things are voluntary. They're not compulsory things. They're not set in stone and something that a catering industry has to do. It's good practice to offer some of these gestures as a way of keeping your customers happy and to ensure that they return to you for repeat business. Some complaints may need further investigation. So, for example, if there was a contaminant in the food, then this is possibly an issue in terms of health and safety. So you might need to take this issue to the manager in order that it can be dealt with more efficiently. As well as keeping your customer happy, you also need to make sure this can't happen again. So it might be that practices within the restaurant need to be revisited or the chefs need to be spoken to. Some complaints may not even be valid. It may be that somebody has eaten a whole dish and then decided that they want to complain that they didn't like the dish and they haven't given you the opportunity to actually put it right. If they decided they didn't like the dish within the first couple of mouthfuls and then raised it with you and asked for an alternative dish, that would give you the opportunity to put it right. By eating everything first and then expecting you to discount it from the bill, most people would consider that to be unreasonable, and as the waiter or waitress or the business owner, you would be within your right to refuse that as unacceptable. It's still important in these sorts of scenarios that you maintain a professional stance and don't try and get into an argument with the customer, but just politely explain that if they had given you opportunity to rectify the problem, you would have done so, and perhaps offer them a slight discount on the meal rather than a full discount. But again, this would be at your discretion, and if you felt that this customer had tried this tactic before and was perhaps taking advantage of your generosity and your professionalism, you'd be within your right to offer no discount. Perhaps a customer like this isn't one that you want to keep coming back to your business anyway. As a manager, it is important to investigate and also to liaise with staff. For example, especially with social media these days, it's very easy for people to become quite vocal about businesses online. If somebody has made a complaint online after the event has happened, it would be necessary for you to investigate the circumstances of that event. I wouldn't necessarily just take the online complaint at face value, and I would want to find out from the staff involved when that shift was occurring as to what actually happened. If you don't listen to your staff as people that you are paying and the people you have trained up, and you just take the customer's word over theirs without actually seeking to find out the facts, you are at risk of upsetting your staff and possibly losing them to another business. So it's important to gather all of the facts of the incident before deciding what action to take, especially where someone's livelihood is concerned. For example, if a complaint was so serious that you felt that you needed to remove somebody from employment on your business, you would absolutely need to make sure that you had all of the facts before taking that action. Failing to do so and perhaps wrongly dismissing a member of staff could mean that you end up in hot water legally later on down the line if you're found to have unfairly dismissed them, and you may result in having to pay them compensation as a result. So it's really important to get all the facts before you take action, especially where your members of staff are concerned.